Hello, hello, hello. People of Earth. Sorry for sticking my face in your face. How is everybody doing? It is nice to see you all. My name is Dustin Cormier, and I'm enjoying a smoothie. Things have been a little whack. My dad is currently going through, well, the end of the kidney stone saga. But now we're dealing with making sure that he doesn't have an infection. Just dropped him off at the hospital. Oh, he's got a lady there, his lady Jackie, who's taking care of him. And I will be getting them later. For now, I am here saying hello. And we are doing some Eclipse stuff today. I'm just going to get the current video on my phone so I can see some comments. I hope that everybody's doing well. I wonder if everyone else is putting out fires like I have been. That has been the theme of the fire horse for me thus far, which has been cool. I think that the universe gives us what it does for a reason. Hello, anybody who's watching me live. I'm about to see any comments or any such things. Okay, cool. So, thank you again, folks, for coming. Thanks to everybody who's here. And it's nice to see you all. I hope it hasn't been too crazy of an eclipse time. Hello there, David. And hello, Zem. Nice to see both of you guys. And everybody else who will be slowly trickling into the stream. It's a pleasure to be hanging out with folks. Let me know how you would like to have your name spoken, my friend. I always think of it as like X as like Z. Hello, it's me, Nimra. Very nice to see you as well. So, folks, it has been a journey thus far. The world be crazy, fate be crazy, and eclipse energies do be crazy. You know, when eclipses happen, it is one of the most sensitive periods in the astronomical calendar. A lot of stuff in astrology can almost get a little bit hypey, you know? Like Mercury retrograde happens all the time, and it has its place. But, you know, the real most important, in the Vedic idea of things, the transiting eclipses are a very deep and significant evolutionary narrative in the soul. Now, one of the great ways of digesting what's happening with an eclipse is checking out the work of Ernst Wilhelm. Ernst Wilhelm, on his channel, goes and discusses what can be expected from an eclipse. It'll hit a certain place, it'll hit a certain house in your chart, and the overall energy of an eclipse is conveyed by Ernst there. And this eclipse is an interesting one. As we can see here, this is what we're basically going to be looking at for this eclipse. Now, this is on August 12th. And this is when we're going to see the sun and the moon coming together at about 20 degrees of tropical Leo. Excuse me, I had to mount my smoothie there. Now, what Ernst Wilhelm conveys to us, you know, of course, the nodes have been moving backwards, and they were just recently in the signs of tropical Pisces and Virgo. Now they're in the signs of tropical Leo and Aquarius. That is where this is happening. Now, for all those interested, yes, we will be doing cold readings today. And of course, if you don't get a cold reading during this session, let's just take a quick moment here. For anyone interested, we are doing readings today. We're probably going to do at least 2, and then I've got to go and I got to check my pops out at the hospital. Like I said, he's okay because he has his lady there. But we'll probably do 2 cold readings today. I plan on doing more during eclipse season. And as well, if you want to contact me to do a real eclipse reading that's paid for, where I put all my juice into it, you can contact me at astrology at dustincormier.com, which I've just put in the chat. And as well, you can also contact me by going to dustincormier.com/subscribe. So, yes, it is eclipse season. Now, today's eclipse video, I've decided to do a little fundraiser. And this fundraiser, I like to do these things once in a while. So, the fundraiser is the Indigenous, the Indigenous Medicine Fund. How do I find the name of it? Indigenous Medicine Conservation Fund. Indigenous Medicine IMC.fund. Now, hopefully you guys can see me here. If you want to know what it's about, you look up imc.fund, and you will find this black and white page. This is for protecting cultures, medicines, and ecosystems vital for all life. And in particular, the mission of this fund is to protect the medicines and the people who uphold the medicines in their native lands, such as ayahuasca, mescalito, cannabis, I believe iboga is a part of it, and also mushrooms. And if you want to check out the whole site, yeah, we've got them here: mushrooms, peyote, and toad as well. Now, the Indigenous Medicine Conservation Fund has been set up by MAPS, the psychedelic association that has been, for a long time, doing a lot of good in the psychedelic medicine world. So, imc.fund will tell you a little bit more about what you'll be donating to today. And a big thanks to David Stanica, who has already donated a little bit for us today. Appreciate it very much, David. Yeah, during eclipse season, it's good to throw a little bit of good karma around. That's why I often find myself doing these little donations once in a while. Yes, we are picking people for a cold reading today. Right now, I'm just settling in. I'm letting people pile in. And we will be picking people for eclipse readings in probably about like 5 or 10 minutes, you know. We won't wait too long for on it. We've already got lots of people here, so we can do what we need to do. Hello there, Antivorta. Nice to see you. So, again, folks, this is an eclipse today. Excuse me. Not today, but on Wednesday, August 12th, we're going to be having this new moon solar eclipse in the sign of Tropical Leo. And so we are going to be moving through your chart and seeing what can be expected, what is being conveyed by this eclipse season in your chart. Now, of course, those of you who may or may not know, I'm just going to try and fix this for a second here. We are going to be using Ernst Wilhelm's Adityas. Ernst Wilhelm has been doing his Adityas for a long time. The Adityas circle is a little bit different. It is what I would call, it's tropical, but it bases the heart chakra as the place where the first equinox happens of the year. So what tropical calls Aries, the Adityas system calls Aryaman, the second sign. So the way that Ernst Wilhelm's Adityas is calculated, it's calculated a little bit differently than what we're used to in Tropical Vedic Astrology. Now, I am one of Ernst Wilhelm's people, so I am using the Adityas. This is what I have found to be the thing that makes most sense to use. Now, just so everybody can kind of see what we're getting at here, you know, whereas the first sign is called Aries in Tropical Vedic Astrology, Ernst Wilhelm calls the first sign Dhata, Aditya. We have Aryaman as the second sign, Mitra as the third sign, ruled by Mercury. Varuna is the fourth sign, ruled by the moon. So you'll see a lot of these correlations with numbers are the same in both systems. So we are going to be delving more into the Adityas today, as this is our thing that we do. Hello there, Crystal. Nice to see you. I'm going to put this over here so that I am not the millennial in the room. I can actually see your guys' comments. So let's start to move forward here. We have lots of people already who are interested in getting a reading. First, let's say, I think one of the key themes that can be expected from the readings that have been happening during this eclipse, one of the key ones that Ernst Wilhelm has described is that there is a deep emphasis of identity. You know, sort of identity crises can kind of happen, which can feel very intense. But Ernst Wilhelm describes this, it's hard to explain, but he says that these eclipses happen in series, is what are called Saros cycles. And this is an intense eclipse by the Saros cycle, but this particular manifestation of it right now is pretty comparatively mild. So this eclipse will be unfolding things for wherever it falls. By house, everybody gets affected by the eclipse in some way. But it'll especially affect you if you have anything in your chart at about 20 degrees of Leo. Or anything square to that, if anything's trine to that, if anything's hitting any particular angles. The eclipse is it's deeply focused on material roots. And this is where the identity crisis comes from. It's what happened with my mother, what happened with my early life, that built foundations that don't align with who I am. I'm just writing this down for myself. And again, it's specifically people with things falling at 20 degrees of tropical Leo that will be experiencing these things. Hello there, Cam. Nice to see you. Hello, Maria Antonia. Nice to see you as well. So the main focus here is the movement, the tectonic movement of roots that happened in your earliest childhood, which don't align with who you truly are and what you're trying to do in life. So this has a lot to do with, again, if you watch Ernst Wilhelm's video, it's a great underlying pin for why these things are happening. So let's begin to talk about it. Let's show some examples of some real charts. And I can see lots of you guys are interested in the reading. Remember, folks, this is a fundraiser. As we are going through eclipse time, it is good for us all to practice some good karma. So the money that you donate to today's session is going to go to the Indigenous Medicine Conservation Fund. You can see a little bit more about it. I'll probably put something in the description. I don't think I have yet. It's a wonderful cause. Now, we have 13 folks hanging out already. I think the best way for us to just jump into this is just to jump into this and get started. So, who here... Nice, that's Sweetie and Nimra. So, we have 13 people here live. Who here is interested in getting a reading? Feel free to just say hello. Feel free to say hi. and I'm going to put your name in order to consider you for this reading today. Looks like XEM, you're getting a little bit of a nodal return happening, or perhaps a nodal opposition. Sweet. Hello there, folks. We've got a girl called Roach, Manis Vlog, Leela, Crystal Pow, Namara. Thank you very much, you guys, for chiming in. Remember, if you're interested in a reading, we're about to pick our first contestant on the show. So if you're interested in a reading and you've just joined in, feel free to say your name and say hello. We've got a girl called, we've got Manis Vlog, we've got Leela, Crystal, it's me, XEM, and then Crystal, I got you as well. Okay, so folks, again, it's nice to see you. Hello there, Katie. Nice for you to join in with us. Again, if you are watching live, make sure you do we're doing a roll call right now. If you're interested in getting a free eclipse reading right now, then throw your name in the roll call, say hello. We're probably going to do 2 readings today. We're going to do one free one, and then we'll probably, thank you, Antavorta. We're probably going to do a free reading today first, and then we'll probably do a members only reading at the end, or at least a membership reading. So again, we got lots of people still piling in. If you're interested in being a part of the reading today, we are just about to pick our first contestant. We have about 17 or so people joining in. We are going to do our first free reading, and we are just picking it random. So whoever is interested, feel free to put your name in now. You don't got to put your birth time just yet. For now, we're just doing a roll call. No one you know, thank you. Lots of people today. Lots of people interested in an eclipse, and I'm very happy to hear that. It's good for us to practice our eclipse knowledge and understanding and moving through what it means in the soul, and what it means in the continuing evolutionary narrative of an individual chart. I got you, Katie. I got you, Katie Newkirk. So anybody else who's interested, feel free to throw in now. So far, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people. It's a girl called, I've only put some of the name. A girl called Roach, Manis Vlog, Leela, Crystal, It's Me, Nimera, XEM, Katie, Cam, Antivorta, and no one you know. So we have 10 people who are interested for a reading, and it looks like that's probably it for the moment. So congratulations. You are all going to be able to get a chance to be called in for this reading today. I'm going to do my best to do it justice. Now, let's first and foremost, I'm just making sure I got everything here. Yeah. Okay, let's pick a number, folks. All 10 of you are here and ready for a reading. Keep in mind, and you can feel free to mention how you feel about this. I know I should have mentioned it earlier. If you have not done a reading before, when we do these live astrology readings, we can tend to go deep. We're here to heal. And healing often involves cathartic self-realization. Our intention in this public forum is to teach astrology and do a little bit of healing. I'll never go as deep here as I could in a personal one-on-one reading, especially because it's a public forum. So keep that in mind as we go. And if you don't want to talk about anything, as I've got, a lot of depth plunging energy in my own chart. So if there's any depths you don't want to plunge, anything you don't want to talk about, feel free to let me know, and we don't need to go anywhere if you don't want to go there. So we have 10 people being chosen for our first reading right now. Unless anybody throws in, if you've just joined in, now's your chance to put in your name, say hello for our reading. Oh, El Popo. Did I forget somebody? El Popo. Oh, bless you. Look at XEM. Thank you so much. So I'm so sorry. And this is why we do our checks. Our friend El Popo. I must have missed you on my first round. El Popo, you are also being considered for this first reading. And hello there, Cordy Spores. So we have 12 people so far who are interested in a reading. I'm not sure if Cordy, you are just saying hello, but we are doing a live eclipse reading. So if you're interested in that, you're in the right place. Let me know if you're not interested, and we'll go from there. But we have 12 people, and we're about to pick our first contestant on the show here. I'm going to go with a funky number like 35 since we have lots of people here today. I'm going to pick a number, and I'm going to run through our list. I'm going to start from the middle and work my way up. This is how it works, folks. I like to be pretty arbitrary. Awesome. Thank you, Cordy. So we'll start in the middle, and we'll flow through, and we'll see whose name we pick for our first reading today. Yeah, and that was XEM who saved your spot there, El Popo. One of the users here is named XEM, and they reminded me not to forget you. And thank you, XEM, for that. Okay, I'm going to start in the middle. Our arbitrary number today is 35. As you can see, I've got all these names in a list, and we're going to move through and see whose name gets picked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. The name I have picked today is, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only. I don't believe I've done a reading for this person, but they have hung out and been on my channel for a while. I'm happy to announce our friend Crystal Powell. Crystal P09We. Crystal, you have been chosen. Your name has been plucked from the hat. Crystal is our first contestant on the show. Big powwow. So, Crystal, my friend, are you still with us? And are you ready to get the first astronomical reading of the session today? Drum roll, please. Let me know if you're still with us, Crystal, because I do like to do these readings live if it's at all possible. Yes, Crystal is here with us. Congratulations, Crystal. You have been chosen to be our first victim on the show. So, now let me see here. I got my phone. Looks like I got all things that are needed. Much blessings back at you, Crystal. Crystal is ready. All right, rock and roll, honey. Okay, so Crystal, my friend, first things first, feel free to put your birth data. If you feel comfortable with it, you can put your birth data into the chat box, or if you prefer it, you can email me. Some people don't prefer to receive, to put their birth time out publicly. So if you feel like it, Crystal, you can email me at astrology@dustincormier.com, or you can just put your birth information right into the chat, and I'll be able to see it from there as well. Let me know how that goes, and I'm going to start plugging you in right now. So, Crystal, let's see, you guys can't see me yet. You might have put your birth info in here already. Let me just check. No, I guess not. Oh, yeah. So I've got you here, Crystal. Our friend Crystal is the year of the rabbit. So I'm using the birth information that you gave me earlier, Crystal. I can see it up here in our chat. So our friend Crystal is born February 13th, 1999 at 11:30 p.m. in Georgetown, Guyana. Guyana. Georgetown. This is probably it here. Georgetown, Demerara, Mahika. Let's see what it gives us. Let's start off with chart, round wheel. Okay. You're okay with people seeing. Awesome. Okay. All right. So, Crystal, my friend, now what I have here for your chart, I have you as Scorpio rising. Now, this is tropical. This is not what I would call the Adityas reading just yet. You are born Scorpio rising at 18 degrees 22. The previous eclipses were falling in your 1st and 11th house. And now the eclipses are falling into your 10th and 4th house. And you are going to be experiencing what would be a nodal opposition. Your eclipses, the south node, is that right? Let me think for a second. Yeah, the north node. Let me just be quickly correct here. Yeah, the south node is in the sign of tropical Leo. So you're going to be having a nodal return series of nodal opposition eclipses this year and in the coming bit. So, Crystal, do me a favor. Let me know if it is accurate for you that you are a Scorpio rising at about 18 degrees of Scorpio. That puts you as Vishaka rising. And I just want to quickly check here. You know, we could do like the big three. We've got Saturn at Makaraka. And the moon is in Shravana. But it might be on the cusp. It'd be nice to know. But that's okay. Okay. So, yes. Crystal, this is our first reading for the day. Now, Crystal, my friend, do me a favor when you can. Oh, what's happening here? Do me a favor when you can, Crystal, and let me know if it makes sense to you that you are a Scorpio rising. Yeah, it would be safe for sure. But I'd like to, yeah, Scorpio rising. Thank you, Crystal. Yep, that's correct, Robbie. So, now, let's do what I always like to do when I'm doing a reading. For the sake of it, God, my nose is so scratchy right now, and that sucks. So, everybody, oh, Robbie, thanks for donating. Our friend Robbie has donated to the Indigenous Medicine Conservation Fund. Now, yes, I'm going to put a timer on here. Let's put you on for 30 minutes. So, Crystal, this is our first reading of the day. What I'm going to probably try to do is I'm going to try to mostly focus on the eclipse themes. But the first thing is I always like to do, I'm going to get a general rough draft of everything that's happening in this chart. I'm going to be looking for the significant, important things that I can see running through the chart. And I'm going to see then if anything is being directly affected by this eclipse. And we'll go from there. Now, this is, of course, an Adityas reading. So your sign is going to be turned over to what we call Amshu. But the houses are going to be the same for the eclipse, which is a key factor. Again, this eclipse is happening as we know it in the 10th house of this chart. And it's going to be happening right on the natal Rahu. So obviously already there's going to be some significance there, but it's also significant. We'll be looking at all the significances, but this should be an important eclipse. Let's put the clock on for 30 minutes. And then in 30 minutes, we're going to go from there and continue our journey with the eclipses. So let's begin by digging in. Now, Crystal, my friend, I've got my clock on. This is, of course, a reading. So if you have any questions, if you have anything you'd like to share, feel free to let me know. Now, this is the tropical zodiac chart here. And one of the significant things is that the sun is actually... This is a person who's almost born during a south node eclipse in the bottom of the chart. So that will be relevant. This is a person who's a bit of an eclipsy person. Now, there's a beautiful yoga going on with Mercury and Venus here. And we also have Jupiter and Saturn together. That makes sense for this generation of 1999. Now, the first thing to say is it looks to me like you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 5 planets falling into 5 signs, and that gives us a Jupiter and number 5 ruled chart, which we call the Pasa Yoga. Pasa Yoga means, I always say don't be too spooked by this, but it means a noose. Pasa is like a noose, the one that you're thinking about, but that noose is very spiritually oriented in Vedic cosmology. It is used by Yama, the god of control and breath. When we think pranayama, the noose is used in pranayama to control the flow of breath and to control the flow of the life force. So there tends to be ideally spiritual leanings in the Pasa Yoga person, but they apply these spiritual leanings materially. And so whatever they get themselves involved with materially should be a big factor in how their spirituality goes. Jupiter is going to be very important for this person overall. It's a little bit significant because the eclipses are going to be falling where they're falling. But for now, we've got a number 5 chart, and that's a little tough on this Jupiter. This is a tough Jupiter to have in a number 5 chart, as we're going to see in just a moment. Now, we also have Sarpa Yoga happening in this chart. Sarpa Yoga is what happens when you've got malefics, more malefics than benefics in the angles. I also have Sarpa Yoga, and it can be a little difficult. So this is the Tropical Vedic chart, and we can see that this is Scorpio rising. Again, we have Leo in the 10th house, and that's where the eclipse is going to be falling. Now, what I'd like to know, that's a good question, XEM. Technically, Mars is not above the horizon. Mars is not under the horizon. Mars is here at 6 degrees. The ascendant falls at 18. So Mars was peaking on the horizon. A very illuminated Mars here at that twilight point. This is a person who probably uses Mars very deeply, very strongly in their lives. Now, what we're going to do now, folks, we've been looking at the tropical Vedic chart. Now we are going to dig into the work of Ernst Wilhelm by switching to the Adityas. Now, Crystal, I'm not sure if you've done work with me with these Adityas, but the Adityas is what I've been mainly focusing on in my work, in my writing, and in my astrology practice. The Adityas, like I said, are Ernst Wilhelm's baby, and it is a wonderful way to do astrology. Now, for those of you who aren't used to using the South Indian chart, you can see that the little 2 lines in the corner of one of these squares represents the rising sign. And in this system, the planets are going clockwise. So we have Mars in the 1st house, Pluto in the 2nd house, Moon in the 3rd house, Sun and the South Node in the 4th house, Mercury, Venus in the 5th house. It's a nice yoga going on there between those two. And then Jupiter and Saturn in the 6th house. And that's a pretty tough spot for Jupiter. Jupiter is having a little bit of a rough go in this chart. Yeah. And Mercury's having a bit of a hard time too. Jupiter is considered to be under the ideal circumstances, underneath the Shadbala, and Mercury is also suffering in Shadbala as well. Now, this is very significant to this reading because in the Adityas system, the natal nodes are falling in Parjanya and Vivishvan. So the eclipse that was going to be happening for this person, basically in a couple days. If I change the birth time to 1, 2, 3 days ahead, or basically 2 days ahead, then this person will be in the space of an eclipse. A deep eclipse happening in Parjanya with the South Node and Uranus and Neptune together. So this is a pretty significant and intense chart, all things considered. This is an eclipse chart. Would you say that the Mars energy is super highlighted in your life? Yeah, it probably would be because you've got Mars in that twilight position. But really, a huge significant thing happening with Crystal here is the eclipses, that there is an eclipse happening in the 4th house. And that can be pretty intense. Now, one of the main things going on that's significant with this is that, number one, Jupiter and Mercury prefer to be close to the 1st house. Mercury is getting a little bit harmed. Thankfully, it's got some good Lajatadya Vashtas. It's in a delight with its friend Venus here, and it's in the 5th house. Mercury gets a lot more grace than Jupiter here. The real ringer-dinger in this chart is definitely Jupiter. The Drishti Yuti of Grahas in Jupiter's Adityas. Yeah, I would say yes, Robbie. Jupiter as a whole is going to be affected by planets falling into Jupiter's signs. For example, Mars is nice and delighted in the sign of Amshu. Mars being in the sign of Amshu, which Jupiter rules, and which is the ascendant, that's a Mars delighting the whole chart. That Mars is doing some good work for the chart. Mars is also delighting the sun by its fourth house square aspect. So the sun is getting a little bit of help from Mars. And the sun is delighted by Jupiter in the sign of Parjanya. Now, Crystal says, you've heard that your Jupiter needs immediate action for your success. That's probably because in tropical astrology, your Jupiter falls in the sign of Aries. In this Adityas system, your Jupiter is falling into the second sign of Aryama, which is ruled by Venus. It's a sign of companionship. Here, Jupiter has basically got Saturn stepping on its head. Even though they're very far apart, they're still working through the same sign. As well, this Jupiter is a little bit tricky because it's in the Navamsha. It's debilitated in the Navamsha. And it is there with the south node in the Navamsha of Bhagha. Bhagha is the 10th sign that relates with Capricorn. So this is a little bit tough Jupiter in this chart. And what this is generally signifying is that there is a need for this person to imbibe the things with Jupiter. Now, there's a lot of, with astrology, we're trying to look for confluence here. It's significant, number one, that the South Node, Uranus, and Neptune are in the sign of Parjanya. And that is the 12th sign. It resonates with Pisces. So there's an eclipse energy trying to move through Parjanya, which is ruled by Jupiter. So that's one thing that Jupiter's connected to. Another thing, of course, is that this is a Pasa Yoga chart. All the planets are falling into 5 signs. And that number 5 is going to relate with Jupiter. So that's another reason why Jupiter is significant in this chart. And then number 3 is that the eclipses are going to be falling in the Vivishvan Parjanya axis in this coming year and a half. So there should be significant things going on with your 4th house. And this should be regarded as being a tough period. Now, thankfully, this coming eclipse on August 12th is going to be working through Vivishvan, which is your 10th house. So it's not going to be messing with you too much, too hard just yet. But there might be a lunar eclipse in Parjanya that is difficult. And the eclipses that occur this coming year in March should be particularly significant. Now, the fact that Jupiter is having a hard time in this chart, it's far away from the 1st house. It is in the 6th house, which can be a difficult house. And it's getting squashed by Saturn. The good news is that it's also delighting Saturn. It's not so bad that Saturn is being so strongly helped in this chart, because this is a Saturn Atmakarika chart. It is significant, by the way, that your Saturn is your Atmakarika, and its Swamsha falls into Vivishvan. So the Swamsha of this chart is this Vivishvan, this Virgo-like energy. And so the eclipse happening in Vivishvan is going to have some significance as well. Hello there, Monica. Hello, Mo. Another Monica. And hello, Azura. So this is the significations going on with this Jupiter. It's a tough one. And I think that the themes of Jupiter are probably always going to be relevant for this person, especially because this is a Pasa Yoga person. So these eclipses coming up are going to be operating through your 10th house and your 4th house axis. And this is very relevant because you've got so much loaded in the sign of Parjanya, your 4th house. Now, you are born in the rabbit, my dear. 1999. That makes you 8 years younger than me. So you probably just turned 26, 27, 26, 27, I think. Let me know if I made a mistake there. You just turned 27, so you're going through your Saturn return as well, which is going to put even more stress on Jupiter because Saturn is in the sign of your Jupiter right now. 27. Thank you, Crystal. So you are going through your Saturn return. This should be highly significant for you. This would have started probably about last year, and it's going to go until about 2028, a little bit into 2028, is your Saturn return. This is not only giving energy and retrieving the energy of Saturn, but it is also going to be putting pressure on this Jupiter. And so are these eclipses. So there is really a lot running through your Jupiter right now. Because Jupiter is difficult in your chart, Crystal, Jupiter is going to relate with male energy. For a woman, your natural relationship with men and probably with romance too. You know, for men, our romance planet is Venus. For women, women's romance planet is Jupiter. And let me know, Crystal. At some point, I got the idea that you're a woman in here, but I could be wrong about that. So let me know if I am wrong about that. If I'm messing up that or misreading you there. Also, feel free to let me know if you identify with any pronoun or if you identify as straight or gay. You are a woman, thank you. If you are operating as a person who is, bisexual or queer or any of those things, you feel free to let me know. Of course, I'm open to such things. I consider myself to be bi, although I lean more towards women these days. But I'm an ally, I guess you could say. Thank you, Crystal. Good point, Robbie. Good point. This is also a Jupiter that is the Darakaraka. It's the planet with the lowest degrees in its sign. It's falling here in the sign of Aryaman in 14 minutes of arc, like 0 degrees. So it's right at the beginning of the sign. So Jupiter is going to play a very key part in relationships for this person. And relationships might be something that is an important lesson, an important karma, an important retribution in this lifetime throughout the whole life experience. It doesn't mean it's not going to get better. It doesn't mean it's not going to get worse, but it's relevant. It's highly, there's a difference between, let's say, the strength and goodness of a planet versus its importance. This Jupiter is a planet that is important. It's foundational in this chart. It's a load-bearing wall. And there are significations of it having some difficulties. Of it, again, you've got to feel this out for yourself. And, don't let yourself feel bad about it or identify with it, because you've also obviously got some good things happening in your chart. Everybody's got good and bad. In fact, Jupiter is the great good. So Jupiter technically will always have goodness in it, no matter how it's placed. But this is a Jupiter. This is a person who should pay attention to for example, their memory of their father. Feel free to talk about this as much as you feel like, but don't feel the need to. But your early relationship, your communication, your playfulness that you experienced with your father, if you did experience those things, is going to be a marker, a diagnostic tool, a way for you to feel out what male energy and romance really means for you. You know, you know, a father is a girl's first, first love in that way. And women will tend to, just like men will unconsciously seek something of their mother in their partner. And this is how it happens often when we're young, and our friend Crystal here is young. When we're young, we tend to unconsciously, like sublimely seek our parent, our opposite gender parent in our partner. What often happens, especially while we're in in our youth, we want, I'm going to read your message in a second, Crystal. When we're young, we often chase the shadow of our parents, especially there'll be an aspect of our parents that we want, but we want to redeem the love we never got from our parents from that person. And we find out early on that we attract people who are like our parent, but who have the door is totally closed for the love that we never got. And we have bad relationships through our 20s that have that muck. And then once we get into our 30s, ideally, we begin to separate my fantasy from the actual person. We start being able to treat our partners for the partner and not for our parental karma that we're trying to sublimate through them. Dad was distant in your early childhood because of traveling and addiction, but after about 15 years old, we became very close and still are. Excellent, Crystal. Now, okay, so, before about 12 years old is the important time to be experiencing love and foundational security from your parents. When from 0 to 12 is when we're at our most sensitive, and it's when we're going to be experiencing that kind of energy. After 12 years old, we've developed shocks on the bumps of the road. Our vehicle has learned to go through the shocks. And then at that point, we can satisfyingly deal with the shocks of life, because we can, after 12 years old, you hit puberty, you become a young adult, and you can kind of deal with things. But before 12 years old, while we're still in the moon, the Mars, and the Mercury ages of life. So before 12 years old, we're still very sensitive and we get shocked by things. So you probably would have still felt this father energy from being 0 to 12 and not having your father as much in your life. Now, it is good that after 15 years old, you became close and you became good friends. And that's a great thing, because it's going to allow you to contemplate and work out and reflect on the Jupiter energy that might have been very dire for you, that you might have missed out on with your father. It might even be good for you to do some cathartic conversations with dad, about how important is dad, especially for you, in dealing with debt, in dealing with health and energy, 6th house things, which is where your Jupiter falls, but also with your identity and with your emotions, because Jupiter rules the 1st house and the 4th house in an Amshu rising chart. Amshu is the 9th sign. Parjanya is the 4 houses away from our Amshu. Jupiter rules Amshu, the 9th sign, and Parjanya, the 12th sign. So this Jupiter is going to be very relevant to the 4th house. The 4th house rules Jupiter in this chart. So there's going to be a relevance of Jupiter in relation to your 4th house. It's the 4th house lord, and it's having a difficult time it's such a load-bearing wall, you should feel like a lot of your emotional desires should be connected to your early childhood memory of your father. And there's probably only so much of that because, remember, your father is his own soul and you are your own soul. There's a bond there. We are one with our parents, but we're also not. And your father did what he could in his life. And you have experienced the karma of lacking a father figure from age 0 to age 15. And the father figure would be very relevant to you. You're somebody who probably would have done very well and probably really needed strong, authoritative, masculine, spiritual, inspired, religion-based, almost, ethics-based, spiritual-based role models and leaders and teachers in your life. And if you didn't have it from your father, you would have gotten it wherever you could have. And since, again, this rules your first house and fourth house, your identity and your emotions are a good marker for when you are moving through energy of Jupiter. That's probably your whole life's big, important riddle, is dealing with a starved Jupiter. Jupiter is technically doubly starved in your chart. And it's happening in the sign of Aryaman. This is relevant as well. You really would want to look at what's going on in Aryaman. It's the second sign, and it's also where the Atmakarika, Saturn, is falling. The good news is Saturn is being delighted here. Saturn's got good things happening here, but Jupiter has difficult things happening here. So Aryaman is going to relate to the second sign, which relates with Venus. It relates with companionship, becoming a duo with other people. And it's likely that your father there was probably a deep sense of companionship and friendship that you would have wanting to get from your father, from men in general, from brothers if you have them, teachers. There's probably a companionship, a daddy-daughter energy, which, of course, that can get yuckily blown up, especially if you as a young girl were seeking this kind of energy. You want to make sure that nobody had the wrong intentions for that desire. And this energy would be desiring now to come through with a natural sense of romance. But your romantic inclinations are somewhat taken over by Saturn. And again, this is happening in the sign of Aryaman. So something I want to say with relation to this chart is Aryaman is the second sign. Developing commitments with partnerships is going to be relevant. Hello there, MX Moi. Thank you very much for joining in the channel membership. And thank you, Monica, for asking how to donate. Now, at this moment, you can donate to me personally. I'm gonna pause. Monica's asking the right questions. I'm gonna pause on our conversation for a moment. We're on Jupiter, and we're talking about Aryaman, especially companionship for this person is a very relevant theme in their chart. Now, just so everybody knows, because it looks like we're getting questions about it, if you guys are interested, you can donate, of course, by donating straight to YouTube. That would be the best because then your donation would go to our fundraiser today. But if you feel like it, you can also click on my DustinCormierOfficial.github. And there you can donate a donation to me directly if you can't use the YouTube Google Pay thing. So, yes, what's highly relevant for us in this reading is this Jupiter theme. It's falling in Aryama, the second sign of companionship, of me and another person. So it's likely what should have happened for this person is that their father would have been a deep companion for them. They could depend on their father, and their father would teach them to be dependable as well. The father would say, "Honey, I need you to help me with this." And the daughter would have absolute service to the love that her father gives her. She will be there. She'll be a loyal little daddy's little helper in whatever dad is doing there. That's Jupiter in Aryaman when things go well. And already Jupiter in Aryaman, no matter what, has a starving energy because Aryaman is ruled by Venus. And Venus is an enemy to Jupiter. So Jupiter here is being starved by Venus as well as Saturn by being in the same sign as Saturn. And this is in the 6th house. So you might feel like nobody is allowing me to play daddy's little helper. No job, nothing gives me the capacity to fully, joyfully be a companion that allows me to pull my life together. Saturn being delighted by Jupiter, what's probably going to happen is that this person is probably a strong, independent person, and they work in relationships, but there's a lot of romance that they need that gets taken out of their relationships. And when the romance is taken out of your relationships, you lose the snap. By the way, everybody, we will be doing another reading in about 5 minutes. And if anybody's watching and interested. So this is what's most relevant to this person. It's a pretty clear reading so far as the Adityas are concerned in this regard. This Jupiter theme, what would really desirably be done is to bring Jupiter into your life. And this can mean doing things. That's my alarm. So to help bring Jupiter into your life, Thursday is a relevant day. You might want to, there's things you can do to appease Jupiter. Do things for your father would be a great and wonderful way for better future relationships. So Crystal is asking, how can I make the romantic parts better for better future relationships? That's an excellent question, Crystal. By the way, I think that you are going to be learning this over the next year and a half, especially in the eclipses that happen in the period of March. There's going to be eclipses happening in your 4th house. And there's going to be, you're going to need to learn what your happiness means. Because what's probably happening here, my dear, is that Jupiter is the natural goodness and happiness that you experience. There's a romantic desire inside of you. There's a desire to fall in love. And there's a desire to be deeply loved. There's a desire to have companionship that reflects practical concerns, because Saturn is there in Aryama, the 2nd sign, but also has romantic, playful, fun, silly, and deeply soulful and emotional identity foundation experiences. And this is all through Jupiter in companionship. So to make the romantic parts better, this is going to take self-realization. This is going to take inner deep contemplation of what do you seek in a partner? What do you seek inside yourself? What kind of life do you want to live? And you have to really think about, if I had a good father figure, what would that have looked like? And you also want to think about, if I had a good male partner, what would that look like? Talking with your girlfriends about it, talking with people all around, and with Jupiter, the big gig is being faithful. It's almost like you're too busy with a million things, so you will never have time to risk the biscuit and jump into something romantic and transformative with another person, you want to still watch out for red flags, still watch out for bad behaviors. But, this Jupiter theme, in my opinion, my dear, if you were going to deal with anything in your life, I think a key part of it should be, again, Jupiter things for a woman. So, like, psychology of relationships, relationship hygiene. There are lots of self-help books on psychology of relationships that might be relevant to you. The world of Tantra can be a little bit useful here. The psychology of Tantra can be relevant when it comes to Jupiter, seeking to alleviate Jupiter for a woman. On Thursdays, you might want to have a conversation with your dad once in a while when you can, and also serve ethical movements. Like, for example, today I'm doing a fundraiser for the Indigenous Medicine Conservation Fund. I could be taking the money myself, but instead I'm giving in to Jupiter, because Jupiter's running through it's in Vivishvan. It's connected to this eclipse right now, actually. So I'm trying to appease the Jupiter by just donating, putting on something that would help donations fly, that would help donations towards a cause that you care about. Thinking about it, if you can't spend money, then volunteer your time when it comes to Jupiter. You might want to volunteer with, old folks, old people, treating them as loved ones, and to think of it devotionally as giving back for all the love that Jupiter does give you, for all the goodness that you have in your life. So volunteering, particularly to old people, to old men with dementia, but religious institutions, if you believe in that, if you're a Christian, helping out at the church, you might find a resistance to all these things. But also, again, especially the love, the romance. It might do you well to practice Jupiter things, to contemplate religion, Zen, meditation, spiritual practices, yoga. These are all Jupiter things. Try to think of them not in terms of a job, but in terms of how this can bring me personal happiness, because that relates to this fourth house theme. No matter how you dice it or slice it, I think this Jupiter theme is important. And I hope that this has been helpful in giving you ideas of how to rein it in. So making those romantic parts better, you want to contemplate what relationships and romance means to you. Read about them. Learn about them. Possibly even get a therapist or somebody who's into Tantra. Now, be careful in the world of Tantra, because there's lots of people looking to take advantage of people with needy energy. Lots of tantric things will be like, come together, we'll all touch each other, and we'll all sit and hum together and touch each other, and that'll be $75. Sorry. That was such a throwaway way of saying that, but I had to sneeze. So be careful in the world of Tantra. Be mindful of what you dig around in there. Don't allow yourself to be taken advantage of, but lean into it as giving back to your father and to the universe for what it has given you. No worries, XCM. Mo Lee is always full of some great psychological insights. The Mountain Is You by Brianna Weist. I could see that being wonderful as well. Right. So try to consider all these things in your relationship with Jupiter and in your reclamation of this energy that is relevant to you. When the eclipses come, you're going to be dancing between two things. The eclipse coming on August 12th is going to bring out 10th house energy. Now, you've got the sun opposite that point. You don't really have anything square to it. Saturn is technically in trine to the eclipse, which is okay. Overall, the eclipse on August 12th should bring themes especially of work, of career, especially because Jupiter's up there also by transit. So that should be a key part of the energy of this coming eclipse is 10th house stuff. But that, of course, you'll only be able to deal with your 10th house if you come to reflectively deal with your 4th house at the bottom of the chart. So that's what this main axis is going to be playing out through in your life throughout this period. And you might even want to think about how your whole identity, you might be somebody with this Jupiter issue. You might be somebody who gives yourself a little bit of happiness. You might be a very independent person who might desire deeply to live with some kind of partner, to live with people, to have that companionship in a very utilitarian way, but that doesn't have any love or bounce or romance in it. And this might be a material root foundation of your identity that you've learned to build on. It's like, I can't be romantic. I can't be playful because it's inconvenient for people. That's what your parents might have conveyed to you when you were young by having Saturn and Jupiter conjunct. So your parents might have told you that being romantic, being faithful, having inspiration, having meaning in life, having a philosophical desire to live for something, these are all things that are silly and inconvenient and you shouldn't think about them. That's what your parents might have conveyed to you. There might have been a poverty mindset attached to this. We don't have time to think about saving the world or being inspired or falling in love and being silly and having fun and doing good things. We don't have time for that. We have to survive ourselves. There's a part of that that's helping your Saturn to be a survivor, but it's probably also crushing the headroom of your spiritual inspiration, your love. So try to think about how romance, how inspiration, and a meaning of life and ethics, finding something purposeful to live for, see how you can follow those. The eclipses coming are going to teach you that these things are very important to your heart and to your joy. That's 4th house stuff, is your deep soul joy. Giving yourself up emotionally for this kind of love to people. You might feel like you're not getting it. You're not getting enough of it. That's what the eclipse is supposed to do. You've probably been ignoring your desires for Jupiter, for love, for spirituality. And now the eclipses are going to make you feel depressed, feel like there's not good things out there. But really, there is. It's the same world we're all living in. It's just that people who have a good Jupiter see the Jupiter for what it is right in front of them. We're all living in the same world. They don't have more Jupiter than you do, but your consciousness hasn't learned to attract it because you're going through these karmic lessons. But you have just as much Jupiter, as much love, as much devotion around you as anybody else does. So try to remember that. So, Crystal, I hope this has been useful for you. I hope that this has given you a bit more clarity on this foundational part of your chart. Awesome. I'm glad to hear that it's spot on. I'm very glad to hear that you made it, that you're doing as well as you are. I just received $10. I won't mention the name unless this person wants me to, but thank you for the $10 donation that I just received. And okay, so yeah, I think that for the moment, I feel pretty good about this reading. Crystal, my dear, let me know if there's anything else that I can do for you. If you or anybody else is interested in further connecting with me and any of the things that I've talked about, of course, I've only just talked about DustinPoirier.com. I've only talked about what I could initially see in your chart. If you're interested in connecting at all anymore, awesome. I'm glad you'll be able to listen to this. Let me know if you got questions about the Adityas, or if you've got questions about anything. You can just email me at astrology@dustincormier.com, and I'll do my best to, use what time I have to at least answer questions that are within simple reach. But if you've got anything deeper, we'll just have to do a deeper session. For now, I'm glad we got to do something today. So thank you, Crystal. Let's give Crystal a nice little golfer's clap, yes. The Dumbledore clap, yes, very well done. Thank you, Crystal. I don't know why I do that. I just do these stupid things. Thank you very much to Crystal for being a part of our reading today and sharing your time. For all those who are watching, we're about to do another reading. We've just done our first reading, and Crystal, you've been wonderful. You have done very well in holding it down for us today. And thank you very much for being a part of this. Now, for anybody who's interested, feel free to, I've just put my PayPal by going to dustincormier.official.com.github, whatever that is, in the chat box. You can go there and make a donation. And thank you for everybody for being a part of this. That was a good first reading, good eclipse reading. As time goes on, we'll all be feeling out and learning more about the eclipses that are happening. As well, I'm going to be offering eclipse readings outside of these ones on my channel. If you're interested in getting an email about discount eclipse readings, you can follow me at dustincormier.com/subscribe. You'll join my email list. You'll be able to hear when I put out discount readings. And as well, you'll be able to hear when I put new works out, like my book that I've been working on for a long time. Okay, good. So now, everybody, while we have 12 people here, let's move on to our next reading for the day. This might be the last one today because I want to be able to go and check out what's going on with my pops. He is being taken care of by his lady, Jackie, but I've got to keep in touch with what's going on with them. So for now, let us do our final reading for the day. Kill switch engaged. I always like putting on these glasses. Makes me feel like John Lennon. Did a lot of astrology reading back in the day, I did. Isn't that right, Paul McCartney? Used to read charts once every weekend, whenever I could find them. I could rip the Beatles accent. I would just need to be with another person and bounce on it. So everybody, let's now do our final reading. Thank you, MX Moi. Now, this next reading I'd like to do for members. We have channel members who have been supporting my channel for a long time. And channel membership is only $3. And I think it's $3 a month. And when you become a member on my channel, you get to have occasional members only videos, and as well you get chances like this to be a part of the live streams and to be in the membership only queue. Now, the members portal is on my YouTube channel. You can find it if you go to YouTube. You would go, and somewhere along there, if you click on me, How to Rock Astrology, you'll find me here. And somewhere around here, there should be a button that says join our channel members. right? And I have lots of channel members, and I'm very, very happy and uh, delighted by that. Now, if anybody's interested, our friend MX, also Mo, is going to be available to be chosen as well. And of course, so is Rabi Chowdhury. Now, if anybody's interested in joining membership, let me know right now. You now have a chance to. And this reading will be for members. So for our members that are here, we have MX Moi, as well as Monica. I think, Monica, you mentioned that you'd be happy to get a reading as well. And I'm happy to put you in this list as well, if you're okay with that. So we've got Monica, and we've got MX Moi. Robbie, if you'd like a little eclipse reading, feel free to let me know if you'd like to be a part of it too. So I guess MX Moi, I should call you Catalin. And here's our girl Itzel as well. Oh, look, it's Elizabeth. Nice to see you, my dear. Oh, and here's our friend No One You Know. Thank you so much, No One You Know. So No One You Know has now just joined in our membership as well, and Robbie is happy to be a part of it also. Hello, family. P-Dove. Oh, yeah, P-Dove is here. Nice to see you, P-Dove. I know I saw you before, and I didn't realize that you were one of our well-respected VIP members. Wonderful. Okay, everybody, so we've got a crowd here, and I'm very glad to see that. We have a crowd of willing patrons, and I'm very pleased to see that. Hello there, Indira Creates. Nice to see you. Now, let's say, for the sake of it, if anybody here is joining the live, we are now doing a membership portal reading, which means if you're a member, you get a chance to do a reading. Now, if you want, you can make a donation right now. If you're not a member and you can't, if you have trouble with the membership portal, you can just give me a PayPal payment of whatever you want, and we will include you for this reading as well. So for someone like, for example, Indira Creates, if you feel like it, you can make a donation on YouTube, or you can make a donation directly through PayPal, and this will get you considered for the next live reading that we're doing right now. So we are about to pick another member for our reading today. We have 6 members who are present and who have the chance to be chosen for this eclipse reading just now. And as well, if you're watching and you'd like to join in, but you don't want to join as a member, you can feel free to make a donation. So this is the next thing that is happening. Now, I want to give everybody a moment. If anybody's watching, if anybody does want to take a moment and say, hey, I'd like to be considered for this reading, let me know. But so far, it looks like we have our 6. And I should say hello, Indira. It is nice to see you here, hanging out with us. Okay, folks, so let's make our choice, and then I'm going to do a bathroom break. We have 6 members here, and we're going to do with these 6 members what we do with every reading that we do. So again, speak now, forever hold your peace. If you want a reading and you're not part of this list of 6, let me know. We have 6 members available for a reading right now. We have Monica, Catalin, Itzel, No One You Know, Robbie, and P-Dove. If I'm missing you, if you're not in the pool and you want to be a part of today's reading, let me know. We have 12 people here today. A few people just joined in. Again, if you're just joining in and you're hearing, you now have a chance to get a reading. But this reading is for members or by donation. So if you'd like to be a part of this reading, you can give a donation or you can join as a member. Let's give everybody just a moment to digest that. But it looks like we're in the clear. We have 6 people who are presently here and open and ready for the reading today. So let's do it. Let's work with the 6 people that we have chosen, unless anybody else has any thoughts before we do. Looks like we're good, though. Okay, everybody, thanks for your patience. Now we are going to choose from our list of 6 people. I'm going to pick a number. Let's pick a fancy number like 29 is a weird one. 29 doesn't make any sense. It's a ridiculous number. Nobody should ever pick it for any reason. And we're going to pick it. I'm going to begin in a random spot. And we're going to go from there. Yeah, okay. I'm going to go from 29. I'm going to go from a random spot. And I'm going to go down. Now I'm going to go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. It looks like we did, in fact, land on my friend Monica. Mo Lee, 83. Congratulations. The anaretic degree number, I see. That's interesting, knowing you know. Monica Lee, my dear, you have been chosen. And this is nice because Monica's been wanting to hang out with me, and I've just been too busy. We've both been wanting to hang out with each other. But it's nice to be able to actually hold this space and to do a reading like this. So congratulations, Mo. And thank you for everybody else who's been hanging out here, who's been joining for the live and observing what's happening during the reading. Now, this is probably pretty much, I would say, our last reading for the day. Then I've got to eat some lunch and chill with my pops. Thank you for everyone who has joined, including Catalin and No One You Know. Thank you guys very much for contributing today. Now we're gonna do our reading for Monica. Let's take 5. I'm going to go upstairs. I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and when I come back, we're going to do our final reading for the day. Thank you, Monica. Yeah, my pops he's in and out of it, but he should be on the mend. So I'll see you folks in just a moment. Okay. Okay. Hello. Greetings, people. Thank you for your patience. Don't forget the chocolate. It's the Yamakarka Swampshan of Hamshatitya. Oh yeah, so Robbie's already checking things out. God bless you, buddy. So, hello, folks. It is nice to see you. Let's do our final reading for the day. And again, if anybody's interested in getting a deeper reading along the lines that you see us doing here, feel free to give me a call anytime or give me a ding at my email. Now, let's take a little rip on Monica's chart. I've probably got it in here, but I've recently lost all my personal charts. Starting my life. Yeah, when I switched computers, I lost all my charts. No big. So, Monica, thank you for putting in your birth time. We have August 13th, 1983. And we have you at 13:28 p.m. Female, and that is the US of A. Aurora. Aurora, MN. Saint Louis. Okay. And this puts you, yes, right. So you're a, let's do, for everybody watching, we'll do what we usually do. Take a peek at the tropical zodiac. Oh, I guess F2. Oh, cool. All right. So this is that right? I'm just going to screw around with, yeah, I like that better. Okay. Who ran the Monicas? Team Monica. That's pretty sweet. So let's take a quick digest here. So this is my friend Monica's chart. Monica has already, she knows the drill. You know, when I do these readings, our intention is not to bring out all your shadows for the whole world to see. Our intention is to practice teaching astrology, to dig into the guts of the eclipse themes that we're dealing with today, and to share in the healing process as far as it is advantageous and makes sense. But you never have to dig any further than you need to. Monica's ready for it all. Monica is on a wonderful, deep self-healing journey, like we all are. Anybody who's into self-realization, you know, there's always healing to be done. Healing is just alignment with your natural joy, and we could always go further into that. So we could all use that healing. But it's nice when somebody like Monica has the right attitude of diving forward into it. And God bless you for that. So, as always, I'm going to put our clock at 30 minutes. And we're going to go for that, but if we go any longer, don't feel bad. That is the nature of the show here. Let me just see if I've got water for myself. Okay, I think we're good to go, folks. Half an hour on the clock. Woo! I'm whipping stuff. We have started. Okay. So welcome, everybody. This is our second reading of the day. Now, the first thing I often like to do is to start off a little bit just showing everybody the guts of this chart through the lens first of Tropical Vedic Astrology. this is the chart that Monica would be used to seeing, with her being Scorpio rising. And she has most of her stuff falling. This is definitely a bull chart, an intense bull chart. It's Kadara, meaning it's a 4 signs chart. All of the planets are squished mostly actually into 3 signs. But we also have Jupiter and all of this crazy South Node, Uranus, Neptune, all, and those guys are retrograde as well. Those are all sitting in the 2nd house. So Monica already has stuff going on a nodal axis. And most of the planets are squashed in between the 10th house and the 2nd house. So that's definitely a concentrated chunk of the chart happening right there. It's technically a bull chart, but it's not happening on the bottom or the top. The bull is considered to be basically in the top left of the chart. Now, Monica has Saturn at Makaraka, and that Saturn is in the 12th house here with the moon. And she has all of her planets falling into 4 signs. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that gives her Kadara. And that is actually considered to be a positive signification, especially depending on what is going on with Mercury. Now, it's actually a huge blessing that Mercury happens to be pretty poppin' in this chart. It's probably going to be even more poppin'. Well, actually, it's especially poppin' in the Tropical Vedic chart. But it's also doing well when we look at the Adityas. So we have here somebody for whom Mercury is a deep load-bearing wall in the chart, and Mercury is doing pretty well. So just so you guys know what I'm talking about with this Kadara stuff, remember, this is something I've been explaining in my readings. We have what's called the Nabasa yogas. These represent foundational bricks in the structure of classical Jyotish. They're mentioned first or second in the Vedic tradition. The stuff that's mentioned early in a text presides over the rest of everything else. So it's foundational stuff. The name Nabasa has to do with celestial formations, the shape of the planetary arrangements. There are 3 main ones. There's the Ashraya yogas, there's the Dala yogas, and there's the Sankhya yogas. Now, all of these are relevant. What we usually focus on is the Sankhya yogas and also the other 2 as well. They all have their significance. In this case, we're talking about the Sankhya yogas. So the Sankhya yogas are the ones that have to do with numbers. It has to do with the number of total rashis that the planets are placed in. So for Monica's sake, all of the planets are falling in 4 signs. So this is a person who's prosperous with wealth, they speak truth, they're courteous, engaged in agricultural work. They generally are dealing with money, making income, flowing their energy. They will be useful to their fellow beings. They will do well for many, be kind to their relatives. And they can be happy and fickle-minded, dutiful, sluggish, slow of comprehension, and honored. Now remember, I also have Kadara, so you can be slow of comprehension and still be a genius like me. It just, these old texts are saying specific things about the consciousness of a person who has a number 4 chart. And this sluggishness and the slowness of comprehension, it actually betrays a deep simplicity that's very Zen. We correlate Mercury with Buddha, with Zen, with meditation, with simpleness, with not complicating things more than they need to be. So this is Kadara. This is a Mercury-ruled person. And Mercury becomes an important factor in the chart. If Mercury is well disposed in the Rashi chart and the Navamsha chart, this person can build the best type of security available easily and efficiently and in a practical way. Yes. Yeah. So Monica, you're understanding how this Kadara works is, again, I have Kadara yoga as well. It's somebody who wants to enjoy the human experience. Remember, it's all the planets are falling in 4 signs. There's a resonance of the number 4 and of the 4th sign, of the fourth sign, but also the 4th house. It's this foundational happiness principle. This is a person who is living to live, who wants to enjoy working, but they also want to enjoy their personal emotional life, their foundations with their family, their loved ones at home. This is all very Kadara yoga stuff. So this is going to be relevant to Monica. Mars and Sun in the same sign conjunction. Yeah, that's interesting, Robbie. Yes, indeed. So we know that this is Kadara yoga, and whatever's going on with Mercury is going to be significant to this reading. This is also relevant because the eclipse is happening in the sign of Vivishvan. And also Jupiter is going through Vivishvan right now. So the eclipses in Vivishvan, which is ruled by Mercury, are going to bring out some important things related to Monica's life experience. And how that conveys itself is going to be relevant to where Vivishvan is in Monica's chart. So we've just taken a peek at some general things about her chart. Now let's start to take a look at the Adityas and how this eclipse is falling in her Adityas chart. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go South Indian style, and we're going to switch to the Aditya zodiac. So now we are looking at a chart which once again has Amshu pretty much in the same position as the last reading, interestingly enough. And this is a chart where we have Jupiter, Uranus, Neptune, and the South Node in the sign of Pugha, and that's in the 2nd house. So some real South Node in the 2nd house energy, North Node in the 8th house. Amshu resonates with the 9th sign, and it's ruled by Jupiter. Now, our eclipses are falling in the sign of Vivishvan, which is the other corner of the South Indian chart. Falling into Vivishvan, Jupiter is also transiting Vivishvan, actually. So Jupiter and the nodes are the eclipse is falling into Vivishvan right now. So this is Monica's 10th house. Now, it looks to me like there's nothing in particular seated in the sign of no, sorry, excuse me. I got to work out my brain switching between the two systems. So here, of course, we definitely have stuff happening in Vivishvan. Monica's sun is at 20 degrees of Vivishvan, ruling her 9th house. So yes, Monica will definitely be experiencing some things related to this eclipse. The sun here as the 9th lord, the eclipse on August 12th is definitely going to be bringing out some 10th house and 9th house themes, especially for Monica. That sun is there. It's wrapped right into this energy. So you just quit your job. Okay. Now you've quit your job. That feels like a positive. Usually when somebody quits something, it means that they are getting tired of whatever that thing was. Perhaps because it wasn't out of alignment. The sun and this is happening in your 10th house, Monica. I see why you're saying that now. Right. So August 12th is your son's birthday, is that correct? Yeah, so that's interesting. But ultimately, the main theme for this eclipse falling into your 10th house is that you can probably expect that there's, especially because the sun rules your 9th house, there's probably going to be some energy of rearranging what your career means to you spiritually. You left the toxic environment it's turned into. It's no longer in alignment. Wonderful. That sounds like a good thing. This is also, there's a 9th house energy involved. Whenever the sun is connected with, well, whatever's going on for the sun in an Amshu chart, since Indra rules the 9th sign from Amshu, the sun is going to have a 9th lord energy. This is a 9th and 10th lord energy working out here. Now, the theme that Ernst Wilhelm has given us on this eclipse is a sort of identity crisis. There are material roots that we've built probably from long, long ago. Probably it can relate with your mother. It can relate with what life was like in the beginning. Remember, this is true for everybody, right? Ernst Wilhelm has conveyed to us that this reading, this eclipse that we're getting on August 12th, especially if you have any planets falling there around that area, which Monica definitely does, there should be a resonance with a deep feeling of how we deal with our material foundations, how we are independently living ourselves in the world. Now, there might be a bit of even an identity crisis that can happen at this point. Ernst Wilhelm conveys that it should be relatively mild, but it is bumping tectonic plates. It's bumping knees with the tectonic plates of your foundations of your life. Again, this can relate to thinking back of what's the identity, especially for you, Monica. This is going to relate to career as well as philosophy, like, your role, because the 9th house comes before the 10th house. So the 9th lord, what's nice is that this 9th lord is being helped in the sign of Vivishvan by Mars. It's actually a nice Mars because it is exalted in the Navamsha. Now, Mars is not the happiest in the sign of Vivishvan. It's being starved there, but it is being very much delighted by the sun. It's technically combust, although it's so far away. It's kind of on the cusp of combustion, I would say there. It's a little hard to read, but it's kind of on the cusp of combustion. I wouldn't say it's entirely combust. You could probably, yeah, it's hard to say on it. But this Mars, regardless, is delighting the sun. Yeah. So Mars is delighting the sun. So this sun in this chart, let me just take a quick peek at this sun. It's got delight by Mars and by its friend Jupiter being in trine with it, which is very nice. It doesn't have too much going. It's actually pretty good in the Lajatati Avashtas. Oops, excuse me. And it's your number one poppin' planet in Shadbala. Your Shadbala is looking pretty nice in the Adityas, which is pretty sweet. Yeah. So your sun is pretty poppin', Monica. It's got good Ionabala, good enough Chestabala, good Drigbala, and it's got good Digbala, right? So the sun here, it's in your natural 10th house. So yeah, so that would make sense that it would be doing well. It's being delighted by Mars. Mars overall is probably doing pretty okay. Yeah, it's also in very nice trine to Jupiter as well. That Jupiter's saving Mars and the sun in the sign of Vivishvan. really, it's actually Saturn in this chart that is getting spanked the worst. And I think me and Monica have talked about this. Hopefully you guys can see me here. Saturn is really having the toughest time in this chart in the 12th house. And in the Adityas chart, it's pretty signified to be quite starved. It's got a bit of an angle from the sun. Obviously it's conjunct the moon, and it's being starved by Mars by being in the sign of Vishnu. And of course, it's also conjunct Pluto. So, in this case, life is falling apart and coming together. I mean, it's an eclipse. Like, these sorts of things would happen. What's nice is that the thing that's being eclipsed right now is your strongest planet. Your strongest planet is being deliciously hyped. This is an interesting chart because the things that are really good are really good. And then the things that are tough are pretty tough. So it's good when it's good, and it's tough when it's tough. That's sort of what's happening in this chart. I don't know why Jupiter. Oh, okay, I kind of see what's going on there. Venus is definitely the like an incredibly poppin' influence in this chart. It's the second strongest in Shadbala. It's with a beautiful yoga with Mercury in the 11th house. And it's in its Mula Tricona, which actually gives Venus an extra proudness, Garuda. So Venus is really doing well in this chart. It's probably likely that you might have enjoyed the fruits of Tvashta, which is the 7th sign, over the last eclipse period. So now you're in a new eclipse period. The eclipses are happening in Vivishvan and Parjanya. And the sun here is going through this eclipse. I think that there will probably be a reorientation of, again, the material identity, the material roots, the history of your identity and identifying with a certain way of doing a job. You've identified with living a certain type of life. You've identified probably even with your spiritual inspirations in a certain way. Now, the sun is being pushed to see how you can serve humanity best. Hi there, Star Soul Medica. A key aspect about what's happening in this Aditya is in this eclipse is that the eclipse is falling in 20 degrees tropical Leo, which correlates to 20 degrees of Vivishvan. So in this Adityas system, Vivishvan is, especially in the Adityas corner of it, you see, here's the thing about Vivishvan. Vivishvan is, again, it's the 6th sign. It resonates with Virgo. And Leo rules the 12th from Vivishvan. Indra, the sun, rules the 12th sign, the sign just before Vivishvan. So when an eclipse is happening in Vivishvan, especially in the Adityas portion, which is the sun hora, after 15 degrees, the ruler of the sun from the sign is going to be important. In this case, the sun rules the 12th from Vivishvan. So there is a need for everybody to integrate how to enjoy serving humanity. So the universe, yes, Monica, is pushing you into more of your purpose. And there will probably, because you have the sun here in Vivishvan, in the Adityas portion of it, in the Aditya Hora, what this means is that 12th house signification of Leo sorry, I got to get the names right. Indra. See, this is stuff that Ernst Wilhelm talks about. Indra is in the 12th sign from Vivishvan, where your sun sits and where this eclipse is sitting. So this 12th house energy is going to signify a way of needing to contribute to the world, to contribute to the community. And it needs to be in a way that fits you spiritually. And because it's your 10th house and your 9th house lord is the sun falling in the 10th house, to me, this is an indicator that there's a need to be more involved in community, in helping your fellow man, in serving in a way that actually feels good to you spiritually, but also is not killing killing your body, killing your emotions. I think that you're a very naturally ethical person. Monica is somebody who lives to serve humanity. I so know that about you. You've been looking for nonprofits that help the underprivileged, especially homeless. Now, what you want to do, Monica, is you want to try to get into a relationship with your spiritual desire to work a career that has these qualities. You would do well working in a career that supports other people, and this would give you an energy. You would actually, especially because Mars is delighting the sun, this would literally grant you an energy. People see that you're good at this. People see that you're willing and wanting to help people in this way. So this eclipse is probably going to get you in touch with dimensions of community and with communities where you can find connections that allow you to do the work that you want to do in a way that is also spiritually satisfying and should also be a good career. Should also be a career that helps you to get what you want in life, to be respected, and to move forward with the work that you seek to do. So this ethical quotient, this serving others quotient, there should be a level of it where you're just rolling up your sleeves and working, even without necessarily feeling like I need to get an immediate reward for this. You don't want to have, you're nobody's slave. You're not the world's slave. I've talked about this with Virgo energy, with anybody who's got a lot of energy revolving around the sign of Virgo. I am very heartstruck by Virgos because what they have to be careful of is because Leo rules the 12th sign from Virgo, and in this case in the Adityas, Indra rules the 12th sign from Vivishvan, which is where this eclipse is falling and which is where Monica's sun is. The 12th house energy can cause us to neglect ourselves at the expense of others. It's a very common thing for Vivishvan and Virgo to do. And what we want to be careful of is selling ourselves downriver, becoming a slave because we feel we deserve it because I'm a piece of shit and I've had these things happen to me in my life. I'm a victim of bad circumstances. And so all I'm good for is to serve the world. And, I won't even ask for anything in return. I'll do thankless work and it'll help me get rid of my bad karma. Virgo can think this way. And the thing is that God does not want us. God, the universe, the electromagnetic forces of inspiration are stronger than the negative forces of fear and shame and self-punishment, self-flagellation. Whipping yourself up the mountain is not what we're trying to find here. What you're trying to do is see the glimmers of a spirituality, of a joy that you can be serving the world in. And it's going to be by connecting with people, but by also doing things in your community, finding positive roles that you can play in the world that also are cater to talents that you have and skills that you have that you apply naturally and joyfully for others, and seeking the best possible way to do that thing. Now, with the 12th house energy, there will be a feeling of like, I'm going to throw in for this. I'm going to serve the world by doing this. I don't necessarily need to get paid a lot of money right away. But you have to find a balance with this. You want to try and find... Hi there, JM. Nice to see you. You want to find a balance between serving the world and, in a way that is spiritually evolutionary. But also makes you feel like you're empowering your own life, your own relationships, your close personal family life, your relationships with your children. This thing that you're doing should be a worthwhile sacrifice that you're happy for, but also gives you the money, the time that you need to live the rest of your life in a satisfying way. So try to consider finding this balance here. Now you, Monica, just like our other friend, are going to be going through the eclipses in the 10th and 4th house axis. What's likely going to happen is you've got nothing in the sign of Parjanya, no squares there. So this axis is mainly working through Vivishvan and Parjanya. It's interesting you've lost your job. I don't necessarily see this being a difficult eclipse for anybody. So try to think on how, again, with this theme of the 10th house, career, inspiration, there might come up throughout the next year and a half while the eclipses are falling in your 10th and 4th house axis, 10th on the top, 4th on the bottom. You might be experiencing a juggling between your deepest emotional desires and your career. And you need to find a balance between them two. Vivishvan is going to get you working like this eclipse on August 12th. It's going to push us all to find work, even if it doesn't feel necessarily right. This is Virgo energy, serving the world, just like, even if it's not, wherever Virgo falls, wherever Vivishvan falls in a person's Adityas chart, there's going to be a need to involve yourself in work, in helping others, and just working for work's sake. Deleting karma, moving karma through that action power of Vivishvan. So there's a balance between work hard with no play. And then Parjanya, we're going to find the balance of playing hard with no work. In March of 2028, you're going to be getting into Parjanya and experiencing your need to let go, to now take care of your needs, especially in your 4th house, right? This eclipse it's okay to be under a little bit of stress and pressure to get work. Right now it's a good time to be experiencing what your true desire is in your career. And you have the opportunity to delve into the right fit for you. And I'm glad to hear that. Now, Parjanya in March is going to give you a sense of, I'm glad I'm doing this work, but now I'm losing my sense of my personal happiness. So then you're going to focus on your life, your family life. You're going to focus on that from March until August of 2028. Then it's going to force you to push more into your work again. But this is the first pin in this process, and you've got a good sun. So I think your ability to work, to be a hard-working mama, is going to serve you well in this process. Mars is delighting the sun. The sun has everything that it needs to be well served by this eclipse, even though it's probably a little bit shaky and feels a little bit frustrating. That's our alarm. It's okay though, I can still take a moment. It might feel frustrating to go through the tension between focusing on your job and then focusing at home, dealing with your kids, dealing with your loved ones. Your life at home is going to be less focused. And then in March, you're going to find it's going to be more focused. This should be the back and forth that you're experiencing. Cool. Way to go, Monica. You've been waiting for this period. You know, this is an important period. You know, at this point, the eclipses are going to start moving through from this point on. Let's see, it would be I know I just did this. Is it the North Node in Parjanya? Can you guys see me here? Yes, you can. The North Node is in Tropical Aquarius, which is 29 degrees of Parjanya. So the North Node is in Parjanya, and the South Node is in Vivishvan. So the South Node is now going to be meticulously moving through the top of your chart, backwards through the top of your chart, going from your 10th house. Am I right on this? No, it actually goes the other way. I've got to make sure I've got my shit together here. So it has actually been going through the top of your chart. In, let's see. Last year, in the round there, it was going through your 11th house. Probably 2 or 3 years ago, it was going through your 12th house. And you were experiencing all of the eclipses happening on the Saturn and the Moon and Pluto. That would have been a tough period. That probably would have been, for the sake of it, Monica, let's just deal with this here. Let's see, one. Oh, why, you fucking bastard. Whatever. 2026, 2025, 2024. So the period of 2023 would have started the toughest period. So the year of 2023 would have had the eclipses falling into Aryama and Vishnu, which is where you've got Saturn and the Moon and Pluto there. So around 2023, even into 2024, even into the 2024 and into the end of 2024, you were dealing with probably a rather quite difficult dimension of these eclipses. Now, starting in around 2020, early of 2025, you would have been dealing with the eclipses falling on your Mercury and Venus, which probably would have been okay. Your Venus is doing nice in this chart. So 2023 to 2024 would have been challenging. Yes. The eclipses were happening at this dire point in your chart, in your 12th house, where you've got the sore thumb of stuff. I would have been dealing with past life energy. Would have been dealing with a lot of old ghosts and ancestors in the skeletons in the soul closet. Now, beginning around 2025, you would have gone into a little bit of lightening the load because you would have been dealing with Mercury and Venus. Now you're dealing with the Sun and Mars in this eclipse season. Now, this is just at least in terms of the eclipses. So this should be a little bit of an easier time. You can look forward to it as a moment of inspiration, of the universe is guiding you through pressure. There's always pressure during an eclipse. But the world is guiding you right now to reconfigure and reconsider your material foundations for what your identity is, for who you think of yourself to be. And in that sense, it is challenging you in a positive way to use the best of your sun energy, your solar energy. It is your ability to create the role that you seek for yourself that's truly aligned with who you are. Some of this will be in your role as a mother. Some of this will be, because it's in the 10th house, ultimately what's most important is for you to deal with becoming stronger. You should be feeling like you're becoming stronger in who you are. That's what the 10th house is really all about. There's a strength that comes from it. There is the universe puts pressure on you to build yourself into somebody who can deal with difficulties. Because you've got a difficult Saturn, this is probably important karma. It's important to be able to rest, but it's important to be able to focus on what's most important during this period, which is your own inspiration and destiny. And this would be natural to you, but you might find that this is natural to everybody. Even your kids can take a back seat while you are doing what mama's got to do for mama. Not only your kids, but also your relationship. I know you've been in a relationship for a long time. And, even personal power and happiness in your relationship is going to be conveyed by this 10th house. Awesome. So there is, the fact that Jupiter is also transiting this period. Right. You have to be able to put your kids and your other relationship, at least not entirely on the back burner, but the forefront of your life should be what you need to do for your creative inspiration and your power and your ability and your talent. The universe is opening right now for you to be able to do these things. Now, Monica, it's good for me to always check. You're born 1983. What would that make you right now? 2025, you're 42. 2026, you're 43. So you're 42 right now, if I'm not mistaken. You will be coming into your Rahu maturation during the period when you're going through this sort of Vivishvan sun energy. Let's change. Let me think for a second. Your Rahu is going to mature at age 43. That's really, this year is really that happening, as well as the coming. I mean, gosh, this eclipse is right next to your birthday, obviously, which is pretty crazy, right? Hello there, Potluck Joe. Nice to see you. Your Rahu is maturing, and it's going to be doing so while the North Node is in Parjanya and while you're going through this eclipse axis stuff. So at the same time that this stuff is important for you, it's also important that you're dealing with the North Node in Varuna and dealing with the moon. So your moon is a pesky place in your chart. Of course, the nodes for you are moving through Varuna, which rules the moon, and Bhagha, which rules Saturn. So the fact that the nodes are ruling that axis, they're moving through the two planets that are having the most difficulty in your chart, which is the moon and Saturn. So when the North Node moves through Varuna, Monica, it's very likely that you're going to be going through some emotional difficulties, some soul difficulties, some 8th house difficulties, because the North Node is going to be bringing you into what the moon needs. Oh, nice to see you, Mia Moore. Yeah. Yeah, so the North Node maturing is going to be the big thing for you, Monica. And like I said, it's maturing during this time when you are moving through a pretty positive eclipse cycle. Ultimately, this eclipse cycle is not bad for you because there's mostly good things happening with the Sun and Mars in the sign of Vivishvan. And there's not much going on for you in Parjanya. Mercury is doing well in this chart as well. which is a very blessed thing for this particular period. So keep in mind, Monica, that you will be learning to readdress over the next year everything related to your soul, to your needs as emotionally, your relationship needs, and also your career needs at the same time. It's very interesting that you have the nodes in the natural 4th and 10th signs, Varuna and Bhagha, which relates with Cancer and Capricorn, right? And at the same time, you have the transiting nodes going through your 4th and 10th house. So these themes of balancing work with emotional soul meaning are going to be very important themes over the next year, especially. But this is really running the deeper narrative of your Rahu maturing. And if you want to talk about that anymore, Monica, we can. There's a lot going on there. When Rahu matures, the main thing is to look for what's going on with Varuna for you and what's going on with the Lord of Varuna, which is the moon. And the Adityas can tell us different things about that. The moon is in the sign of Vishnu, where that's where it's debilitated, so it can have some difficulty there. And learning to reclaim, even though wherever the moon is, even if it's placed in a difficult place, it's still got good things there. There is still goodness that comes from the moon. Even the pain that you experience there, the shedding that you might have to do, the adapting to your own soul, to the world around you, to the people around you. A lot of this stuff might be difficult, and finding peace with knowing how much you can take, how much you can serve another person without being served yourself, how much you can properly love and adapt in a way so that you get the love you need while giving the love you want to give. It's all moon stuff. The moon, I thought that you guys could see my thing. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Varuna here rules the moon. So as your Rahu matures, the big picture over the next while is a chart-long, lifelong picture of how you've been very much a Bhagha person, the south node in Bhagha, which relates with Capricorn, the earthy cardinal sign. You've been not stuck, but you are a south node in Bhagha person, especially with Uranus and Neptune there. You probably get very... there's probably a deep sense of the infrastructure of government and society and culture that you see problems with, but you still have to deal with Bhagha. You're somebody who I know is like me. We're both very conspiratorial minded. The world is not conducive to the greatest peace, but we have to evolve the world while still evolving ourselves. And we can only evolve ourselves if we do it with self-love and make sure we're giving ourselves what we need. We can't help the world if we don't have strong evolutionary roots in our own soul. And for you, Monica, however crazy the material world might seem to you as a Bhagha person with the south node where it is, with Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune, and the south node all in Bhagha, the material world, as crazy as it might be for you, and it's your second house, which is interesting, there will be a need to fully integrate it, to make peace with it, and to do so while also making peace with the wild 8th house moon energy of your soul. The love sickness of Varuna is going to be important, and it'll be relevant for you to make peace with your lovesick heart. Your heart will always be a little bit lovesick with Rahu there, and you'll occasionally do deep things that give you probably deep satisfaction. But it's likely with the North Node in Varuna and the moon starved with Pluto and Vishnu there, a lot of the times life will probably not give you the complete cookie that you want out of the jar. But as the Rolling Stones song goes, you can't always get what you want, but sometimes you get what you need. And it's finding and aligning with what you do have, making peace with what you do have, with what the world can give you. You'll find this is probably your game, is learning to adapt to what the universe does give you, to learning to adapt to what is available in your heart, the love that is realistic for you to experience. And so I'm just reading Robbie's comment here. A year ago, a year after 42, maybe there's more opportunity. So she's 43 in August. Yeah, right. So you would be pretty soon coming up to that maturation point. But the maturation of Rahu is tough. It's always tough for everybody. I always talk about how there's the Uranus opposition, which probably you're technically going through right now too. Uranus is now in Varuna. That's right. So you are going through your Uranus return right now, or your Uranus opposition, rather, at the same time as your Rahu is maturing. This will be the big deal for you over the next year, especially. But what it sets up for you is the deeper reconciliation with Pugha. And that's going to happen when, 5 years later from here. In about 5 years, let's go 6 years ahead, -1. Yeah, 5 years ahead from 2026 is 2031. At that point, the North Node is going to be in the sign of Amshu. So, yeah, in about 5 years, you're going to be having the North Node coming to meet its return. Right. So the North Node will come from Parjanya. It will slowly make its way down to Pushan and then Pugha. So probably what's better to say, you'll have to excuse me hopping around here like this, folks. Right. So it's probably the year of 2030 that is going to be a big wraparound for all things related to Pugha, your second house, your money. There'll be great peace to be made with money there. There'll probably be things where you might not realize that love is getting in the way of your money and money is getting in the way of your love. And it's likely not going to be until about 2030 that you can fully untangle that and at least make peace with it. The tangles might still be there. But that will come a time where you'll be able to get headway with it. So if you find yourself experiencing this balance between money and career versus love and happiness, and the two seem to be obstructing each other, it's probably a deep knot inside of your life, which for you, I would roll your shoulders back and say, hello, Krishna. This is the life energy that God has given you to move through. And open your heart. 23 is a massive year for you. Yeah, it makes sense. I would say so. But of course, you're going to be going through a lot of stuff and transformation along the way there. You're in a period where this is generally when crazy shit happens. The Uranus opposition, the Rahu maturation. This would be a time when you would be going through some deep shifts in your psyche. And so keep your eyes open for them. And at least for this particular eclipse, for this year and a half, be aware that you're allowed to focus on your career and on your personal happiness. Everything else is secondary to those things, right? Your spiritual meaning in your career, in your talents, using your talents to make your life easier, to make more money, to give you the energy to deal with problems. That's really what the 10th house is all about. And you're going to be forced to let go of things that stop you from dealing with necessary problems. And at the same time, you're also going to be finding and resolving issues related to your personal happiness. This is the 10th and 4th house axis for the next year and a half. It should be important to you, Monica, and I'm glad that you're ready to release some stagnant energy because it's here for you. That mission statement is around. So I'm glad that I got to discuss this, Monica. It is now 1:30. I got to make some food, and I'm going to go see my pops and Jackie. Let's call it a day, folks. Monica, I hope that you enjoyed this reading. And I always love being able to hold space for you and to do this for you. Thank you to everybody who has been here with us today. We had lots of people. We had some newcomers to our channel membership as well. I'm glad that we're able to share this information about the Adityas. And I love your soul very much as well, Monica, darling. Let's give Monica a nice round of applause. Yes, very well done. The Dumbledore clap. I'm glad I got to share this with you, Monica, as well to everybody else who's watching and hanging out with us here live during these readings. It is a pleasure to be able to. For those who have just joined as members, keep your eyes peeled. We'll probably be doing more of these eclipse readings. I want to at least do one or two while the eclipse season is happening. So definitely one or two more while eclipses are going on. So keep your eyes peeled. For everybody who's watching, we will be doing more of these readings as time goes on. It's truly my pleasure, Monica. I'm glad I've been able to hold this space for you. Thanks, Cam. Thanks, Robbie, Itzel, MX, Cordy Spores. We had Potluck hanging out with us. That's Mia Moore. We had our friend Timmy O'Money. Time O'Money. Nice to hang out with you. Star Soul Medica, if you're still here, it was nice to see you. JM Tafoya. Lots of people who have been here today. And thanks to everybody. It's been a pleasure. Now, for those who are interested, thank you. If you feel like donating for our fundraiser today, we've already raised a little bit of funds. You can also donate to me personally by donating my PayPal. Some people have trouble with Google Pay, so you can just pay me directly. Let me know if you want that contribution to go to the fundraiser. I can easily take the money and put it into the IMF, the imc.fund. And thank you to everybody. Keep your eyes peeled. Of course, my main thing I've been doing is writing. And probably what I've been writing has been poetry, and it's a novel. I'm writing a psychological and psychedelic novel right now. It's taken all my time. I'm very excited about it. And that's going to be my thing for 2027. You'll start to see me talk about it really in like December, January. That's when I'm propping up to be done with it, if all goes according to plan. So that will be coming along. You can keep your eyes peeled for that. That's right. Yeah, I know I am a bit sniffly. I don't know what it is. There seems to be some kind of allergy happening, but I haven't been emotional. It's not a thing with my dad. I might not be getting as much sleep as I could. My dad has been going through it. So I'm going to have some lunch and see what he's about. My dad is okay. He's just been suffering. Kidney stones are like that. Like, they're not life-threatening, but he's been suffering, and it has sucked. So hopefully that happens and gets all figured out so I can get some sleep. But I am glad to have shared this time with you guys. Keep your eyes peeled for my coming psychedelic novel and for more eclipse readings that'll probably happen within the next month. So thank you very much to everybody who's here. Keep your eyes on the skies. I'm Dustin Cormier. This has been How to Rock Astrology. Let's go eat some lunch and enjoy, folks. Until the next time I see you, God bless. I think that I got a lot going on this weekend and the next weekend. I would usually do a Saturday reading on the last Saturday of the month, but we can't because I've got too much going on. So we shall figure something else out from there. Probably I'll be doing some more stuff in August. Looks like I've actually got a lot going on pretty much every weekend in August. So that we might have a lot of Thursday eclipse readings, but I'll try to get some weekends where we can do something. Namaste, folks. Let's go eat some lunch. I love yous. And thank you so much for being a part of this with me. Thank you, Mia Moore, honey.